Joining us now is Tristan Pascall, First Quantum CEO. He joins Guy in the London studio. Tristan, it's really good to speak with you. What is the update on the closure of the mine in terms of your efforts to try and convince Panama to let you reopen it?
Hi, Alix. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you. Look, we're going through that, and the Supreme Court decision came out only very recently. From here, our focus is on the near term, and really that's around the welfare of our employees, and they certainly be affected by this, but also around the environmental realities of a closure that's happened so quickly. And there's a lot of questions that are unanswered about that, and we're seeking that conversation with government. We want to be part of that solution.
Yep.
But that's emerging, and we're in conversation at the moment.
If I'm an investor, what are you telling me?
Guy, we're focused on that new-term resolution at the moment around how we resolve this in terms of the near-term impacts on environment, the welfare of employees, and over the longer term, our commitment to Panama is absolute. We've put $10 billion into the asset in the country, and our commitment is absolute.
So are you looking at things like higher royalties or tax regimes? Like, you're going to the government being like, look, we will give you a super big cut of this mine because the country is going to be losing a lot of revenue from this. Are you making some offers along these lines that can help move the process along?
Alix, we've recently heard from government just in the last 24 hours in terms of putting in place a framework of conversation dealing with the immediate issues around the forced stop and closure, the environmental and the employee issues. I think over the long term, we've just been in a resolution period. We took 2 years to negotiate a new contract that did include higher revenues for government, but where to from here will come through, I think, in the government's framework about the next conversation.
Do you think a different owner would have a different result with this government?
So, Guy, we're committed to the project. A lot of the questions around the future of Cobre Panama are not unique to First Quantum. They result on, there's been a moratorium put on mining in the country overall. So how does that resolve? And that clarity needs to come to bear. And again, we're focused on these immediate issues around employees, security on the site, and the environment, because those do need to be addressed. Even if we go down that pathway over the longer term in Panama.
Tristan, no matter what, this is going to take a while. So are you going to have to divert funding or pull funding from other projects as you manage this?
So, Alix, yeah, I mean, the situation is we have strong liquidity. We came out at the back end of Q3 with around $2.3 billion in liquidity going into this situation, and that sets it up well in the short and medium term. We will come back in the near term, early in the new year, around the plan from here, what that looks like in terms of a balance sheet. Part of that will be around our other projects, but we're focused on Zambia. Zambia's a great place to be, and we're investing at Kansanshi in renewing another 20 years of that asset as a world-class asset. That capital project is part of the explanations we'll provide early in the new year around our capital expenditure there.
Did this come as a surprise?
So there have been a lot of protests in Panama.
Sure.
Last year that was around pharmaceuticals and the price of medicine, and this year it's been around mining. The relief valve for that was the Supreme Court decision, I think. We knew that the relief valve would have a degree around unconstitutionality, and that would be the ruling, but the degree to which Panama has gone to in this ruling was a surprise. From here, how that's resolved, because it throws up a whole lot of questions. We acknowledge the court ruling, but the questions are there around, well, what happens right now? To close a mine in a day it has never been attempted. It's a very challenging situation at the moment.
Tristan, I appreciate that you're going to update the market on your CapEx and that you did have a lot of cash, or do have a lot of cash in your balance sheet. But your credit rating has been cut by multiple agencies. You are there on credit negative watch. Your stock price has fallen 60% since all this happened. Because how do you raise money, though? Like, what is your cost of capital going to be if you need to go back to the market?
Sure, Alix. We're looking through all those options, and as I said, coming out in January, we'll put together that plan, and that will cover all of those areas, and we'll come back and explain that early in the new year.
I asked the question earlier on about whether or not another owner would have a different result. Have you had discussions with other big mining groups? Alix brings up the issue of liquidity and the issue of financing going forward. Is anybody reaching out to you? Are you reaching out to anybody else? Talking to Barrick, talking to anybody else about a potential kind of future that could involve them in this project or your assets with them? I'm just kind of wondering if there are any intra-industry conversations happening with you and others.
Yeah, Guy, it's an evolving situation. We don't comment on speculation as a rule. We haven't in the past, and we're not commenting on that speculation now. What we're focused on is working through these challenges and around the immediate concerns we have, environment and the employees. Do
you think you're big enough to manage the situation on your own?
So we don't comment around the speculation of that or what that could look like. We're a growth company. Our DNA is around project execution, and we have in the portfolio a lot of opportunity to continue to grow. So that is in partnership with other mining companies. So with Rio Tinto in Peru at the La Granja, and that points to what I think is important in the future is partnership. La Granja is a great asset in Peru, one of the world's largest undeveloped copper projects. We're not in a capital-intensive phase. It's really around study to get to the right point in time where we could make a decision to proceed. But that's an example of partnerships that we are deploying in our capabilities in terms of project execution.
Are you guys talking about selling assets, renegotiating the terms of your loans? Like, are these all the conversations that you're having right now?
Alix, as I said, we'll come back to the market early in the new year, but we're looking across the board at options around that and how we'll put all of that in a fulsome plan for the resolution of the balance sheet and going forward, and also how we continue to invest in Zambia, which is a great place to be working at the moment, and really underlines a lot of what our capabilities have been and continue to be.
How well supplied do you think the copper market's going to be next year? Yeah,
that's an interesting question, Guy. I think we've seen quite a lot of copper come off in the market. Some 600,000 tonnes has come out of the forecast for next year, and previously we were looking at probably surpluses next year, but it's a fluid market. The challenges across the industry around geopolitics of bringing new projects into beds remain challenging. As project execution people, we see it's taking longer and longer to develop that. Part of that is ore grades declining, and that means you need more capital and so on to build these big projects such as Cobre Panama. And then the high standards in environment and community, which is really important, and we want to play at those levels, but it takes time to develop that. And that just means new projects take longer to come on board, on stream.
Communication is really important. It's really good to see you doing it. Thanks for stopping by to talk to us and figure out what is happening here. We'll look forward to the further updates. Have a great holiday.